Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have been working on this Bally 1976 flip-flop pinball machine. And we've already done several videos of it, but we are now up to the Playfield. So, we did one where we did the back box, everything in it, including lighting the back glass. We did one where we fixed up this mechanism board on the bottom. And we did one that was just kind of like an overview. But this entire time, the Playfield has been hiding over there, right? So it's time to mess with it, because you can't play a game without the Playfield in it. So I'm going to very carefully pick up that heavy Playfield and lean it up against the back box here in the cabinet so we can see what's on it and what needs to be done and how we can get this sucker a little farther along. So journey along with me. We'll take care of that. So let me go pick it up and put it in the machine and let's look at it. Alright, so we got her back in there where we can mess with it a little bit. You don't really have to do this with the power on. I'm just doing it because it makes the video look cool. So this Playfield has a ton going on for it, and as a result of that is very heavy. So on the top of the Playfield there is this weird flip-flop mechanism with these little targets that flip over. I believe they also had those on, it may have been Wizard or Captain Fantastic, a couple of those games, or maybe just one of them. But this is the same little mechanism. So there is a switch up here that you hit, and it makes the little flag on the Playfield flip over, and there are 4 solenoids that make that happen. So we got to mess with that. We have 2 saucers here that eject the ball. Got to mess with that. We've got 2 flippers up here at the top half of the Playfield. Got to rebuild those probably, or adjust them at least. We have a bonus unit here with a big stepper on it. We've got 2 pop bumpers. There are 8 coils, relays that have switches on them that need to be adjusted. You've got 2 kickers to kick the ball. And then finally you have 2 flippers at the top. A lot of this stuff is ran with DC power instead of just the AC that EMs normally had. By this time they had switched over to DC on some of the stronger stuff. So this thing is loaded. I mean, it's got a lot going on. And we got to get all of this stuff working right before we can even think about playing it. So probably nobody's serviced this thing in a long time. But we're about to. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to clean all the switches. What we use is like a worn out old file. You can get like a contact burnisher, or you can use like a little teeny piece of sandpaper wrapped around another switch or something. But basically you just need to get something in there between the 2 contacts on each switch to clean it up. So I'm going to clean all of the switches that are actually mounted on the Playfield. So like this one. Well, if I can get to it. So it's just two blades, and when they touch, the switch is connected. That particular one is a rollover button. So there's a little thing that pushes them together. And see how the bigger blade is making the smaller blade move? That's how you want it. If it just does this and it's touching it, that's not good enough. You want it to move. The moving action rubs the 2 contacts together and actually cleans them. So that's how you want it. These games actually will play better if you play them regularly because of that, because the switches kind of need to clean themselves. Sounds crazy, but it's the truth. So the more you play them, they kind of get into a groove where they play really well if it's one that you play a lot. And a lot of people think that they need a lot of maintenance and stuff. They don't really. If you play them a little bit, they're pretty reliable. I mean, you can always, on an older pinball like this, you can always break something. The ball might break a target or something, and of course that needs maintenance. And you're going to have light bulbs burn out and such. But if you play them a little bit, they kind of hum along. I had somebody saying the other day that they Used to have to adjust the switches over and over and over again. Every couple months, I'd have to adjust all the switches. Well, something bad is wrong. I've never had one like that. You adjust them, they stay adjusted usually. But whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to clean all of the switches that are actually on the Playfield. I'm not going to do the relays yet. I'm not going to do the stepper unit yet. I'm not going to do whatever this thing is. Basically what we're trying to do is just systematically do it. So you try to break it down into sections. So if I do all of the switches on the Playfield first, get that knocked out, then we can move on to something else. So I'll clean those up. If I run into anything weird, I will film it for you. And after that, we'll mess with the light bulbs. Okay, I cleaned all those. One thing I found was a wire broke on the flipper up here. One of them. Well, where was it? Yeah. That's not right. That wire's broke loose. I'll have to put that back. But the one over there is fine. And also the end of stroke switch. We're probably going to mess with these some more, but when this goes in, it opens that switch because it's the end of stroke switch. And then it closes that one because that's what makes the other flipper work. So if those are adjusted too close, you get a situation where the flipper's always on, which may be why that paper has charred. We've also got a fairly charred up looking coil back there on the bonus unit, so we got to check out that too. But on a game like this, you can get something like that where, so let's see if that's the one that's probably the one that steps it up. Yeah, that one makes it go backwards. All this needs work on, obviously, but sometimes you'll get like a bonus unit coil that sticks on like that because you have a button or a switch on the Playfield that's stuck. So if every time you roll over this switch, it advances the bonus unit, and the switch is misadjusted where it's always connected, that means the whole time you play the game, that coil will be energized and it'll start burning up like that. So that very well might be what's going on. If it was doing it on a flipper, though, you would actually see the flipper stuck up and hopefully would fix that. But here's the thing. I wonder if there's something weird on this machine like the flippers are flip-flopped. Are the flippers flip-flopped on this machine? White and red. Let's see. No, they don't. Well, no, they don't appear to be. Yeah, it's a flip-flop, so they may do some weird thing where the left flipper makes the right flipper hold on. White and red. White and red. They're probably not. And the reason I was saying that was because whenever I messed with this one, the end of stroke switch that makes the flipper engage was stuck closed, which as soon as you turn the machine on, it would make the flipper engage. So that may have been, if they're flipped, that one being stuck may have been making this one hold on, but I don't think they are. So anyway, we'll figure that out though. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to replace all the light bulbs. So when you do that, the way I usually do it is you can bend these out of the way a little bit. Take the bulb out. And then you get all this soot all over the bulbs. It gets all over your hands. It is a 44 bulb. And then the soot also gets on the lens, so you have to clean that up a little bit. You can do it several different ways. One of the best ways that I've found is you can take a paintbrush. And so I've got a wood chip paintbrush, and I just you basically use it like a duster, and you get all that dust out of there. And usually that'll clean them up. Sometimes you have to use water or something, but usually you can just run the brush through there and clean it all up. You can also do it with Q-tips and stuff. But you can bend these sockets back out of the way a little bit, put the bulb in, and then bend them back. The only thing I've seen where you have issues with that is sometimes on a stern, the early sterns, they made their sockets a little different, and the socket will break in half whenever you bend it. So you got to be a little careful on it. But on these Ballys, you can bend them several times without them breaking. And then if you do break them, you can just replace the socket. So I'll start getting through that, and then that will be all of the bulbs new. All of these look pretty good. I don't see any that look damaged or anything, or rusted or anything. Sometimes you'll get one where it's all screwed up. And if you look, this section of the bulb is just pressed, of the socket is just pressed on this metal bracket. It literally has a press fitting. And then the bracket is soldered to this line, and that's how it gets a signal to that part of the bulb. So sometimes the press fitting between the socket and the bracket will have corrosion on it. So if you spin the socket around a little bit, it'll make it where new metal is mating with new metal, and it makes it nice and bright like it's supposed to be. So sometimes you got to mess with that. But all these look pretty good. I don't think there'll be too many issues with it. So I'll start swapping those. If I run anything weird on that, I will film that for you too. So I got all of the bulb sockets clean. Now keep in mind none of this is plugged in right now. Well, the game is, but the Playfield's not plugged into it. I got all of the sockets, the light bulbs inserts clean. All of the bulbs changed out with brand new bulbs. Everything looked fine. And now I'm going to do these relays here that are staring at us. Basically, we're just going to do those just like we did the ones on the back box. You just need to clean the switches on each one. Some of them are closed and should open when the relay comes in. Some of them are open and should close when the relay comes in. And some of them are open and closed. They have like a make or break switch where the middle blade touches one, and then whenever it pulls in, it should move away from that one and touch the other one. Very simple, though. There's only 8 of them. And they're labeled the number 1 target, number 2 target, number 3 target, number 4 target, number 1 flip, number 2 flip, number 3 flip, and number 4 flip, which is the flip area up here. So we got to make sure all that stuff works right. So I'm going to clean all those, and then we'll be on to the stepper unit. Okay, so got those all cleaned and adjusted. I keep running into the strangest thing. See how there is a screw that holds the coil onto the relay bank? On this machine, I've had about 8 of those screws that were snapped in half to where the relay would just wobble around inside the thing. Very strange. So what I've been doing is I pull the thing out, and then I take a pair of needle nose pliers and pull the rest of the screw out, and then put a new screw in. I don't know. I don't know what would cause that, but I've had to do about 8 of them. But you know what? Those are the last relays in the whole machine. We did all of them. That's right. Remember when I started this, I said, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Well, here we are. We've almost eaten the entire the elephant. Okay, enough of that. All right, so I cleaned the flippers whenever I went through it, but they may need, rebuilding and stuff. We've done all the light bulbs. We've done all of the switches. The little flip-flop unit in the bottom there ended up being 4 switches and 4 coils, so there was nothing to do but clean the 4 switches. And we're down to this stepper unit that's underneath here and the Jones plugs. So I'm going to lean it back up the way we had it, and then we'll look at this stepper unit and see what we need to do to that. All right, so this is going to be a tricky one, and it's going to be hard to explain too, but I'll try my best. Okay, so we got to Sherlock Holmes it, all right? Are y'all ready to be Sherlock Holmes? So Sherlock Holmes, he would find all of the evidence, all of the clues, and then he could tell exactly what happened by looking at all of the clues, right? So we got some issues with this freaking stepper unit, and we're going to Sherlock Holmes it. So the first thing that I noticed was the wrapper of the coil is burnt up. Okay. So remember I was saying that sometimes that'll happen because there's a switch somewhere that's stuck on, leaving it where it's always energized, and that's why it gets hot, because it's always pulled in. Okay. So that's the first piece of evidence that we find. The second piece of evidence is right here. See that metal bracket right there? Look how it's worn against the metal plate to the point that there's a burr there where it's worn right through the... Look at that. High def, baby. It's worn right through the metal. There's even some tape here, making me wonder if there's not a cut place here that it worn through the wire or something too, right? But there's an issue there. That shouldn't be like that. Why would that be like that? That's weird. Okay. So that's the second clue. This looks a little weird, but I don't know. So this, the way it works is this stepper unit is the bonus unit. So you start at 0 at the beginning of the game, and it goes to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. You know, it steps up as it's adding bonus. And then at the end of each ball, you win the bonus. So it can't just reset all the way back to 0. It has to reset one step at a time. Now, why does it have to do that? It's so that it can count the score the whole time. So if it goes up to 10,000, when at the end of the ball, it needs to go, oh, okay, there's something on the bonus. And so it scores, it hits the 1,000-point relay. And then it resets it. And it goes back one step, and it says, there's still something on the bonus, and it gives you 1,000 points. So it goes back to 8. There's still something on the bonus. It gives you another 1,000. And that's how it counts down 10,000. It doesn't have the ability to say, oh, there's 10,000 points. Let's just add, or let's say it's 14,000. Oh, there's 14,000 points. Let's just add 14,000 to the score reel. How would it do that? It can't think like that. So what it does is it just gives you 1,000 points until the bonus... it gives you 1,000 points and then sets the bonus relay back one, and it keeps giving you 1,000 points until it gets to the point where it's not connected anymore, and it's not connected when it gets to 0. So it always works. So if the bonus is at 4,000, it counts back 4 steps and gives you 1,000 points each time. It finally figures out that it's at 0, and that makes whatever makes it do that fall off. Or it's at 7,000. It just keeps counting. It just happens to be 7 different times, and it's finally back to 0. 17,000, whatever it is, So this thing has to step back one step at a time, right? So let me see if I can rig it up here. Right. Okay, so I gave it a bunch of bonus. We're at maybe 10 right now. So watch what happens when this pulls in. So this is the one that subtracts it. So this is at the end of each ball. So watch what happens. It moves one step. Okay. Now if you look, there's this little thing here. The way it only moves one step is when this pulls in, it pushes that little plate into the gear, which catches the first tooth. Right? So this thing up here is disengaged, so it's freewheeling, but this little blade is catching it. So it only hits one tooth. And then look, when this starts letting out, it puts this lever, if I can see it good, back down on the tooth where it holds it. So that's how it was able to just step back one step. It kind of pinches it. It goes and ratchets it back just one step. Okay, so when this one hits, it should go up one step. But look, when it hits, the wheel doesn't move. So why doesn't the wheel move? Very hard to see this. There are 2 plates. There's one here and one here. So when this pulls in, it pulls this arm in, which lifts this little step here, right? So watch this. So it lifts it up. Well, it should have lifted it up far enough that it goes above the next tooth. So if I mess with it, I can get it where it just went above the next tooth. And then when it lets go, it goes forward a step. But it doesn't do that. This isn't lifting up to the next tooth. So why isn't it lifting up to the next tooth? Well, look at what happens when I hit this. See how the wheel moves a little bit? All right. The reason the wheel is moving a little bit is because there's another one. There's this little plate here that is supposed to catch the step below it. But you see how it's off the step a little bit? So it has to lift until until this bottom one catches it. So it allows it to move a little bit, which means this isn't up far enough, right? So since that isn't going up far enough, it's not opening this switch. See this pin here? It hits the switch, but not enough to open it. That's the end of stroke switch for that coil. So this poor coil would say, oh, it wants me to add 1,000 bonus, and go, because this switch never opens up. If that switch were to open up, it would kill the coil and let go of it. That's why that's all burnt up, is because this switch is stuck closed. So why is that switch stuck closed? Well, the clue's over here where it's hitting the metal. It's because this post is bent. All right, see how it's not straight? And the one back there is not straight too. So why is that not straight? It's because there is a nut right there that holds that whole assembly together, and it's all loose. So we need to tighten that one little nut, which will make this straight, which will make this engage right, which will allow this switch to open, which will make the coil not burn up, which will make it where this is moved off of the bracket so it doesn't hit, and it will fix all the problems. So one little nut is slightly loose and it's causing all that trouble and made the whole bonus unit not work. Holmes would be proud. Okay, so we got that tightened up, and then this wheel was actually loose where you could move it by hand, and it wasn't lined up with the rivets. So if you take these two screws, just loosen them slightly, you can turn that wheel. It has a little bit of an adjustment in it. So I've got it lined up now, so let's see if she steps up good now. Alright, and then the one that steps down. That's what you want. You want it to be able to move step by step. Okay, so I'm going to get the soldering iron so we can solder that wire that's screwed up there on the flipper. And that'll be that. And then I'm also going to clean these off a little bit, these Jones plugs. So like we did on the back box. Just get them a little more shiny. And of course they plug in down there. Whenever we were doing the mechanism board, we already kind of straightened those back out. Those get bent on the Bally games. But so I'll clean that off, and I'll solder that wire back that we know of that's messed up, and we don't know of anything else that's screwed up. So we'll be ready to plug it in and see if she'll even try to start. Okay, folks. So I cleaned up the Jones plugs, plugged them back in. I resoldered that wire on the flipper, which I believe was to make the top flipper work. And we're ready to turn it on. So the Playfield obviously is filthy. Haven't touched the top of it yet. So what we're just trying to see what it does when it's turned on. It may reset the bonus ladder all the way back down, because I think we're set up a little bit on it. It may flip these 4 targets back over to get back to a home position. If you watched the last video, whenever we did the back box, we already reset everything back to 0. Well, I guess I can see if I can reach one of them. Maybe I can spin it. So it'll reset one score reel, and it might kick the ball out. That's if everything happens like it's supposed to. But when we turn it on, it may do the bonus ladder. I've seen it do that before on some of them. Let's see. Okay. If you didn't see in the previous one, the back glass on this thing is bananas. Look at that. Holy moly. One of the best back glasses ever. Okay, so our bonus is at 12,000 right now. Extra ball when lit is lit. We've got a pop bumper here, lit. Another one that ain't. I'll bet those are always lit though. Resets flips when lit. Okay, so I'm gonna try to start it. It may, if it just keeps running and running, I'll turn it off. But it may actually kick the ball out. Boy, that's pretty cool. One of the little flips didn't flip. One of the flips didn't flip, people. What do you think about those outlanes? I get people in here to complain about the outlanes so much. Look at that. You people that like to complain about outlanes, look at that. You're not going to have any fun with this machine because you can't get past little things like that. I know you won't be able to forgive that. Right? I smell something trying to burn up on us. You see it? You see it? Woo, lordy, lordy. That's a pop bumper. Or I guess it's the pop bumper. Let's see if I can lift this heavy ass Playfield. Yep, pop bumper, look. It's actually on fire. Hey, I got to fix that real quick. Be right back. Holy crap. Yes, it literally caught, it was on fire. I could see fire on it. There's a little plastic spoon that goes on the top there. It's completely melted off. And then the one of the little contacts below it has broken off. I think what was happening is it must have been, it may have been like the lamp voltage was touching it or something, because the wire for the lamp voltage is all charred too, right here. See how it's just kind of, it's all screwed up. So there's definitely an issue there, folks. There's the lamp voltage on the other side. It looks just fine. Alright, so basically, there's definitely something on that. But guess what? We're about to do that next time. It's late. It's late. And I got to make sure that Joe doesn't come in and turn it on tomorrow. Let's all right. So I got the fuses out of it. It's unplugged. That will keep him from messing with it tomorrow. He doesn't mess with it anyway, but, and I'll leave the hood up like this. But basically something was shorted there, and I could smell it a little bit, and then I started seeing the smoke, and I thought, oh man, I get this on footage, people will love it. But it looks like it melted part of the pop bumper, so. Not good. It could have been that I had it adjusted too close, but that shouldn't have melted the actual switch, so I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of it though. Don't worry about it, people. Stay tuned. Now you got a cliffhanger to check in on next time. But hey, the thing is up and running. It's just also catching on fire. So all we got to do is stop it from catching on fire and it'll run good. This is a hell of a machine. We've come a long way, baby. So make sure to stay tuned for next time when we figure out what the hell happened there. And we need to work on the top side of the playfield. See if we can get that much nicer. Which I think we can. But there was other things, like you saw how that one flip would never flop. I mean, if the flip won't flop, how can this thing be a flip-flop? It's got to flip and flop, you know. I mean, is that asking too much? So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Have you ever caught a pop bumper on fire before? That's why you got to watch these suckers. By the way, I suggest, this is just my personal opinion, just so you know, I don't leave crap plugged in overnight. Now, that was some kind of damage or something that I had adjusted. It was going to do that as soon as it turned on, I'm sure. So that wasn't something that just died and did that. But these things are old, folks. And you think they're properly fused, but you saw how that just caught fire. Those are definitely the proper fuses because I put them in and it didn't stop it from burning. So who knows what would have happened if I wouldn't have been standing there and saw it, you know. So you got to be careful with them. So anyway, just the way I do it, I do not leave them plugged in. When I leave in the evening, I turn off all the breakers. The only breakers we leave on in the building is the security system and the lights. Like all of these machines get unplugged by breaker every freaking night whenever we leave. Because, I mean, you never know. Look, George is here. Look at that. George, did you have something to do with it? Wow. Can't believe he would do that. So leave your comments below. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. And we'd like to thank everybody that's been using our Amazon links. If you don't know about that, there's a link to Amazon down below. If you go to Amazon and then buy anything while you're on Amazon, it gives us a tip for sending you there. So we'd like to thank everybody that's been doing that. We appreciate it. And also check out, as always, my brother Donnie's. We have a brother channel that's called My Brother Donnie. It's literally my brother's channel. He's always up to something crazy. Lately, he and I have been working on this little tiny grocery store building that we bought. It's like 3,000 square feet in this old town that's on Main Street. And we're trying to save it and fix it so we can rent it out to people to help revitalize the downtown area. And that's been very fun. So go check that out. It's called My Brother Donnie. And we will see you on the next video where maybe we'll catch something else on fire. Hope you have a good night.